Cai Tianfeng, or the Abby Choi dismemberment case, is a murder case that occurred in Hong Kong on February 21, 2023. The victim is a 28-year-old socialite who had been active in the fashion industry in recent years. She was suspected of having been murdered, dismembered, and cooked by her ex-husband's family. With the passage of time, more and more inside information has been dug up, and various clues are pointing to the involvement of money laundering. There are many instances of incomprehensible activities in Abby Choi's own family, her first husband's Quang family, and her second husband's Tam family. Based on our observations, it is likely that the smooth investigation by the Hong Kong police, the speedy extradition of suspects between mainland China and Hong Kong, and the high-profile media coverage in China, Hong Kong, as well as overseas, are all likely authorized by the top brass of the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. What has really happened? Let's start with a brief review of the case. Abby Choi started her social media account in 2012, mainly showcasing designer handbags and jewelry. She attended many public fashion events since 2016, meeting a large number of celebrities in the fashion and entertainment industries. She married Alex Quang at the age of 18 and had one son and one daughter. The marriage lasted for 3 years. After the divorce, the custody of the children was given to her ex-husband and his family. Afterward, Abby Choi and Chris Tam held their wedding on December 9, 2016. The two married and had a son and daughter, but they have never officially registered the marriage. Chris is the son of a well-known restaurant owner in Hong Kong. Abby Choi went missing on February 21st when she went to the school to collect the daughter she had with her ex-husband. 3 days later, on the afternoon of February 24th, police found Abby's body in a house rented by her former father-in-law, Quang. Just before the murder, in disfigured condition. Police also found related tools in the basement. There are many suspicious points in this case, which has led to the unrelenting pursuit of Hong Kong media and netizens. Let's be clear about these three families. Abby Choi's own family, that is, the Choi family, her first husband, the Quang family, and her second husband, the Tam family. The biggest suspicion is Abby's former father-in-law, Quang. He hired several lawyers to defend him after the arrest. Quang, described by the police as the main suspect, has solicited legal fees from the deceased's current father-in-law through his lawyer's assistant. Abby Choi's close friend, Ms. Pao, revealed on social media that after the current husband reported his wife missing to the police, he received a phone call from Abby's ex-husband, Alex, on February 23rd saying, "Why didn't you notify me before calling the police?" According to Hong Kong media, Quang later said, "If the Tam family breaks its promise, we will die together." Choi's ex-father-in-law, Quang was a former Hong Kong police chief. He was detained and investigated by the police in 2005 for a rape case. Quang later resigned in exchange for not being criminally prosecuted. Quang's youngest son, Choi's ex-husband, Alex Quang, is an unemployed hobo who was involved in a theft and fraud case in 2015. He has since been wanted by the police, but for years he traveled between mainland China and Hong Kong and made public appearances at charity events, where Choi donated money and made appearances, etc. For 8 years, the Hong Kong police didn't do anything about him. Following Abby Choi's murder, the police arrested Alex Quang in a matter of 2 short days. Abby Choi's own actions were also seen as illogical. She remarried her current husband only after Alex Quang was placed on the wanted list. She didn't officially register the marriage, raising questions about whether she and Alex Quang had officially divorced under the law. After her divorce from Alex Quang, Abby Choi maintained a close monetary relationship with the Quang family, including serving as a director of 2 limited companies with her ex-husband's brother, Anthony Quang, and later hired him as her personal driver. Abby Choi bought a mansion 3 years ago for about $9 million and registered it in the name of her ex-father-in-law, Quang, where her ex-husband's family and 2 children live. Choi also helped pay for her ex-husband's brother's home. The 2 families of Choi's first and second husbands have a very close relationship. There are photos of the 2 families celebrating and traveling together during the Chinese New Year. Abby's ex-father-in-law and current father-in-law had hands on each other's backs and seemed very close-knit. Quang seems to have had no legitimate career after he left the police force in 2005 because of the rape case. Both of his sons are being chased by banks for debts, and his wife also has a bankruptcy record on file in court. Hong Kong media reported that the Quang family set up 2 companies in mainland China in 2020. One has a registered capital of 50 million yuan and the other is 20 million yuan. Of these, Quang holds 80% of the shares, the older son holds 20%, and the corporate email address is owned by the younger son. Although these 2 companies appear to be massive, the paid-up capital is 0, and the business activity history is very limited. They are more like shell companies. Why did the Quang family set up 2 such companies? Is there a possibility that it's related to money laundering? The second main suspicion is how Abby Choi suddenly emerged as a celebrity. Where did her wealth come from? The Hong Kong media found out that Abby wasn't from a prestigious family in Hong Kong. Her mother was a common businesswoman from mainland China with the last name Zhang. Ms. Zhang came from rural China. After giving birth to Abby, she divorced and married again to a food store owner, Abby's stepfather, as she was unhappy with her husband's gambling habits. After remarrying, Ms. Zhang invested in a titanium business in Hainan Island, China, and became rich by participating in infrastructure projects. This is suspicious because the titanium business and infrastructure projects in China are a field and that only people with considerable backgrounds can get involved. So what's Ms. Zhang's background? Since Abby Choi married the Tam family, she started showing off a lot of luxury items on social media in 2017. However, a lot of the stuff she bought wasn't her actual size. The display of these luxury items was more like a promotion than a show of wealth. Abby Choi's mother, Ms. Zhang, looks more like a show-off of wealth, judging by her social media presence. However, her relationship with her second son-in-law has been criticized as being too intimate, going beyond the publicly recognized boundaries of mother-in-law and son-in-law. Both media in China and Hong Kong are digging into the shady side of Abby Choi's case, claiming that various clues are leading to money laundering. The second husband, the Tam family, should be able to launder money relatively easily as they have listed companies that make large transfers. So in principle, turning the illicit income into legal income won't be difficult to do. 2 obvious traces are: first, Abby Choi had a close girlfriend named Hera, who was also a celebrity group member. She had a similar life trajectory to Abby Choi, getting rich all of a sudden. Hera has a child with Andrew Lo, the Sun City Group director. The Sun City Group's former boss was Alvin Chow, the Macau casino tycoon, also known as Shimi Hua. On March 7, 2023, a woman suspected of assisting in the crime was handed over to the Hong Kong police from the mainland. The 29-year-old woman, whose English name is Irene, was the girlfriend of Alex Quang. The police didn't say when she became his girlfriend. Irene's Instagram account is quite active with a following of 37,000 fans. She is dressed up with expensive designer goods and has photos with several artists in the entertainment industry. She often goes to high-class places that have made her life look luxurious. Her residence is a luxury house in Hong Kong. Where does she get the money to wear designer labels and buy luxury homes? Her father had been in jail before Irene turned 18 and now allegedly runs a bar. In the LinkedIn discussion forum in Hong Kong, some netizens pointed out that Irene's father was also involved in money laundering. The media dug up that his father was a well-known gangster who committed crimes with guns many times. Irene met Henry, the 6th suspect who was arrested, and worked as an entertainer assistant in the Hong Kong entertainment industry. The 6th suspect, Henry, said that his mentor in the industry was Hong Kong's gold broker, Quang, and this gold broker was the managing director of Hong Kong Sun Entertainment Culture, where he served for 8 years from 2012 to 2020. Sun Entertainment Culture is part of the Sun City Group in Macau. The founder of the Sun City Group in Macau, Alvin Chow, was sentenced to 18 years in prison by the court on January 18, 2023. He was charged with 289 counts of wrongful gaming operations, money laundering, aggravated money laundering, criminal conspiracy, and more. Why has Macau's gambling industry been hit hard by the Xi Jinping government? Our channel covered this topic in November 2021. If you're interested, please click on the video link in the content description below. Here we review 2 key points. One is that in 2019, the Chinese Communist Party's official media, the Economic Information Daily, published an article stating that the Philippine and Cambodian Sun City online gambling platforms controlled by Asia's new king of gamblers, Alvin Chow, had penetrated deeply into China. In a press conference on July 13, 2019, in addition to claiming that he didn't commit any illegal acts mentioned in the report, Alvin Chow also said that he will not pursue legal responsibility with any media for this incident. But this seems to have presented a very dangerous sign for Alvin Chow, only to be ignored by the public. Most likely, when developing his business in mainland China, he was supported by the powerful people who held power at that time. Now those people no longer have power, and when they were being purged by Xi Jinping, Alvin Chow was dragged into it. Second, in addition to gaming, Alvin Chow has multiple identities as a film producer, executive producer, and actor. On November 27, 2022, the Southern Weekly published an article titled, "Macau Gambling Mogul Xi Mihua Arrested for Using Movies to Launder Money?" The Beijing-based Xinjiang News also published an article called "Bona Pictures Business Map Behind Chongjin Lake." Over the past decade, Alvin Chow's Sun City Group has been involved in investing in the production of 65 films. According to published reports, in July 2019, after Bona Pictures received an assignment about making the patriotic film Chongjin Lake, it approached Alvin Chow for investment. The box office revenue of Chongjin Lake was reported to be $680 million, surpassing the Marvel movie Shang-Chi, which made $400 million. At that time, many netizens wondered if the Red movie was being used to launder money behind the scenes. The casino, money laundering, and movies basically form a complete industrial chain. In October 2018, on the eve of Xi Jinping's trip to attend the opening ceremony of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, there were sudden rumors that a senior Macau official, the director of the liaison office of the Central People's Government in Macau, had fallen to his death. Although the official media said the official was suffering from depression, there were rumors at the time that his death was actually related to Xi Jinping's trip to Hong Kong and Macau to investigate capital outflows. In the case of Abby Choi, we can see the shadow of the Hong Kong Triads. Back in 1984, Deng Xiaoping, the second-generation leader of the Chinese Communist Party, said in a meeting with Hong Kong's business leaders, "The Triads in Hong Kong are very powerful, perhaps more powerful than anywhere else. But not all Triads are bad. There are still some good people." The good people Deng referred to were those who could be used by the CCP and were loyal to it. Since then, the CCP has already been working with the Triads in Hong Kong. Liu Huaqing, the then vice chairman of the CCP's military committee, even took a Triad leader as his adopted son. After the Tiananmen Square massacre in 1989, the CCP set up a cross-border organization for overseas unification and hired Hong Kong Triad leaders to hold key positions. In 1993, the Chinese Minister of Public Security publicly said, "The Triads aren't all bad. Some of them are patriotic and love the country and the party." The senior CCP official's comment disturbed the British Hong Kong government at the time. The then Chief Secretary, David Ford, immediately wrote to the British Foreign Office, saying that the Chinese comment would cause anxiety to the Hong Kong community because it implied that the Triads were close to the Chinese, and that the Triads would be able to dominate the police and have their backing in the future. It would definitely affect the law and order of Hong Kong after 1997. In 1997, after the transfer of sovereignty of Hong Kong to the CCP, it can be said that the CCP has reined in all the Triads in Hong Kong. In 2003, former party leader Jiang Zemin's partner, Zheng Qinghong, became China's vice president, and in the same year, he also became the head of the Central Coordination Group for Hong Kong and Macau. After he took over Hong Kong, the Hong Kong community went to Beijing in droves to meet Zheng Qinghong, and many of the visiting delegations included senior Triad figures. In other words, Zheng Qinghong became the supreme ruler of the Triads in Hong Kong after 1997. His younger brother, Zheng Qinghai, was also stationed in Hong Kong as a special agent of the Chinese Ministry of Culture and served as the head of the Hong Kong and Macau Secret Service. It is said that the top brass of the CCP had already got hold of the criminal records of the Hong Kong Triads, and once called all the dignitaries in Hong Kong to a dinner party during which they were allowed to watch a secret video in a room. After watching it, they could only do the bidding of the CCP. In other words, after Deng Qinghong dominated Hong Kong, the triads in Hong Kong were all under the command of the Chinese state security departments. A Hong Kong entertainer is a top gangster in the Hong Kong triad 14K. He said in an interview in mainland China that the triads actually take orders and he must accept orders from above. If the Chinese Ministry of State Security gives him an order, he cannot refuse to carry it out. Nowadays, the gangs in Hong Kong are also patriotic and follow the orders of the state. The Public Security Bureau won't cooperate with you. How will it collaborate with you, Triad? He gives orders. You have to obey. None of the Hong Kong gangs dare to go up against the State Public Security Bureau. So let's go back to the case of Abby Choi. It can be inferred that the Choi family, her ex-husband's family, and her current husband's family are intertwined with the Hong Kong triads, the police, the corporate world, and the cultural and entertainment circles. It isn't hard to understand the speculation of some media that Abby Choi could have been a pawn from the beginning. When she was needed, she was on the stage, and the three families were likely to have worked together. When a top power group no longer needed her, or even considered her presence to be a threat, she met with bad luck. This is all likely to be related to the decline of Alvin Chow from Macau, whose backing is supposed to be Xi Jinping's political enemy. The struggle between Xi Jinping and Jiang Zemin hasn't stopped since the death of Jiang, and the internal struggle is still ongoing. This explains why the murder of a Hong Kong model has been covered in high profile by the media in China, Hong Kong, and overseas for so long. Moreover, both the Chinese and Hong Kong media have the courage to explicitly state that the case is related to money laundering. There is a strong possibility that Xi Jinping's authorities know about it, which is what makes the extradition between the two jurisdictions so smooth and the Hong Kong police acting in such a high-profile manner when it comes to suspects, etc. So, to backtrack, could it be that the Xi Jinping administration was cracking down on money laundering, which then made certain people feel threatened? So they killed and destroyed the body and cut off their tails to save themselves. If the above hypothetical scenario is true, then what we are currently seeing is actually the tip of the iceberg of the infighting and killing at the top of the CCP as presented in Hong Kong. This is perhaps Xi Jinping's way of killing two birds with one stone, cracking down on Deng Qinghong, the representative figure of the Jiang faction still standing today while cracking down on the money laundering network in Hong Kong and Macau.